Show today, we have one of the Republicans vying for the job, Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco. So in our latest poll with Emerson College in the Hill, Bianco sits in third right now behind former Congresswoman Katie Porter and fellow Republican former Fox News host Steve Hilton. Bianco was first elected sheriff in 2018, then re-elected in 2022. His years with the department span more than 3 decades. And Sheriff Bianco joins us now here in studio on Inside California Politics. We spoke over Zoom after you announced, so it's great to have you in studio. Thanks for being here.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Okay, so first off, we've done some polling over the past couple of months, and you've really maintained that second or third spot, toggling back and forth with Republican Steve Hilton. So first of all, for a lot going on right now politically, people might not be paying attention to this race. Why do you want to be the next governor of California?
That's a great question, because sometimes the people around me are like, why do you want to do this? Why would you subject yourself to this? Leave what you have and do this. And I really, over the last several years, being in the position I am, I am high politically, especially in my county, and then I have a lot of influence in Sacramento. And dealing with government like I have, I know it's broken. I know not only the internal workings of our own county government, but I know where it's broken in the state also. And as I watched everyone signing up to be the next governor, it was the same names, the same faces of the people that put us here in this position to begin with. And there was not anyone on the Republican side that, especially in California, that is going to be able to stand up and say, I can do this for California, not for the Republican Party, not for the Democrat Party. And it's not going to be a Democrat saying we're going to change our ways and we're going to admit that we were wrong. It has to be someone like myself that is, I mean, I'm a Republican and I will always be a Republican. I can't hide that. But that's not my identity. My identity is integrity, service for other people, honesty, transparency, smaller government, be transparent. Government should help people, not hinder people. That's who I am as a person. And I just happen to be a Republican. And in an election, especially California, you get branded as that right-wing Republican and extremist and all of those things.
Yeah, a lot of the headlines are firebrand, MAGA Republican. That's how you're described.
And initially, it kind of shocked me. It's like, firebrand. When that came out, I'm like, I didn't even know what a firebrand was. And it's like, how am I a firebrand? And eventually, it just got to be, I had to come to the realization, like, they're going to paint you as something because that's what they're going to be running against. They're never going to run against Sheriff Chad Bianco, the 32-year law enforcement public servant who has an impeccable history and past of service to his community, integrity, honesty, all those things. They'll never run against that. That's what they're afraid of. But they will run against the Trump MAGA extremist, he's under investigation, all of these things that they have made up. That's easy to run against. And that's the history of politics, and I know it. I've been a part of it. And part of me and part of my personality is I looked into the last election on how we lost. I love Brian Dahle. I think that Brian Dahle is extremely capable and would have been a great governor. Throughout that whole campaign, my whole issue with him is, you're too nice of a guy. It's like, you've got to attack him. I mean,
maybe that's where firebrand comes from.
It could be.
Okay.
And eventually it was my wife that said it. She's like, well, you're just passionate, so that comes across as harsh sometimes. But truth, unfortunately, we've got to the point where talking the truth makes you an extremist or a bigot or something like that. And that's just something, that's what you're going to get from me. It's that's what I have to offer, is what we know of government, that 80% or more, 90% in some polls, don't trust government. You don't have that with me. That's not what you're voting for me. You're voting for the sheriff who has done an amazing job with public safety in Riverside County, and we can have him save the state. And that's really why I ended up doing this. And it wasn't my idea. I was convinced to do it. I was told that this is doable. There is a path to victory here.
Who told you that?
There were multiple people, but it went along with the governor of Nevada.
Okay.
So the
Joe
sheriff,
Lombardo.
So Joe was a sheriff in Las Vegas.
Okay.
A very popular sheriff, much like I am in my county. Very outspoken and pro-public safety and anti-government that was anti-public safety. And so they took his popularity there and ran him against an incumbent popular governor. And Joe won kind of handily. It was a shocker, but you look at the success now, and the state is thriving. I mean, they still may be blue, but he has turned the entire momentum of the state around in a positive manner that was truly, and from my perspective, it was turning into a mini California. And now
we had a lot of Californians moving there.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I want to throw up, can we throw up the polling numbers that we have for the governor's race? I know I mentioned this in the intro. So I don't want to put the cart before the horse here and talk about the general election, because you still got to get through a primary. Of course, we've got the top 2 primary here in the state of California. And as I mentioned, you're toggling second and third with fellow Republican Steve Hilton. So what's the path to get into the top 2? Is there a concern that you and Steve Hilton will sort of eat up the Republican vote and take each other out?
There's always that thought. There's always that possibility. But in the end, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think that in our campaign and what we're doing and who we're talking to and what we're learning as we go, the endorsements that I'm getting, the support that I'm getting, either outwardly or behind the scenes, is kind of enormous.
And do you think you should get out to increase your chances?
Do I think he should?
Yeah.
I mean, it would be nice.
Yeah. What about Trump? What about the Trump vote? Do you want Trump's endorsement?
I would like Trump's endorsement. I would be unbelievably honored by Trump's endorsement.
Do you know him?
Yes, but if I could convince him of something, it would be, sir, I would absolutely love your endorsement, but can we keep it quiet?
Okay. Well, that says, though, that speaks to the state of Republicanism right now and how that can be a potential obstacle in California. So how do you overcome that?
Yes, that is an obstacle in California, only because to a Democrat, Trump is the devil. To the agenda that we have here and the sentiment that we have here, and truly it showed in the last election. If take names off of it and just put a resume up, there is absolutely no way he loses, and certainly not 60-40. And what that showed